I really hope it's not just that like Saf has her laptop on mute.
I'm not.
Saf, can you hear me? Let me know if
Uh,
you can hear us,
right,
please.
okay, I think I
Yeah,
should be on
Saf can
now.
hear
There
us
we are.
now.
Cool. Okay, good. That's what you didn't miss anything. We're literally
Yay.
just bitching about how fucking cold and drizzly it is.
Um, so yeah, I'm well. I'm well. I'm looking forward to spending this evening with you and listening to this epic album. I
Epic is certainly the
finished
word.
work today and I don't have work again until the 23rd of June.
Oh,
I'm so
sorted.
happy. I'm so happy. I had a bunch of stuff that people didn't get back to me with information on. And I just gave it to other people to do.
Yeah,
And I'm so happy. I just get
amazing.
to relax. And tomorrow, I'm flying to Norway to hang out with the awesome people we're talking to today, but in person. So, for anyone in the audience who was around in the Social Distance Warriors days, this is where we first met Dreamslain. Because we were chatting to them in a Bandcamp Friday thread, and they came on as our musical guests over lockdown, and they are awesome, and so we've stayed in touch. Um, and I'm really, really excited for this album, and I'm really, really excited because Cruel Mother, my band, whom we did our listen along the other month, we're
Hmm.
playing with them on Saturday, and it is our fourth ever gig, and it's in the Arctic Circle. And I'm telling everyone that we're like an internationally touring band just to sound way bigger than we are.
That's good. That's good.
Right.
Exactly. I think that's quite a good segue to introduce our guests today. So today we're going to be looking at the I believe second studio album by Norwegian prog metalers Dreamslain. I don't actually have much of a history with this band personally. I very much Kirsty was very much like, oh, this band's releasing an album, we should get them on the show. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm up for that. But because life has been so fucking hectic, I only actually got into listening to it properly today, and Kirsty was correct. So I'm very excited for this. And yeah, you've already said the stuff about you performing with them soon, so I don't need to introduce that bit. So we are joined today by Igor and Anna from Dreamstain. Let's find the right fucking. There we are. Cool, and OBS is behaving. Okay, so it wasn't working when previewing, but now that we're live, it's behaving. I mean, I prefer it to be that way around, I guess. Good. How are you doing? Thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having us. We're fine. It was fun to hear you talk about the sun being out, Kirsty, because here, of course, we can flex with the midnight sun, which you will experience from tomorrow.
Oh no.
But well, on the other hand, it's grey out, so
So
But much like Britain.
Yeah.
this is something we can
yeah.
share.
Yeah.
No, but we're really excited to be on the show. Really grateful to be invited, and also really looking forward to the concert and to hanging out with
Yeah,
Mother.
absolutely. Also, we've got a new follower. Thank you very much, Beckhild, for the follow.
Oh, that's
I'm
Becky. That's our Cruel Mother bass player. Hi,
Oh,
Becky.
lovely. I love that you didn't follow for the Cruel Mother stream, but you followed this one. Amazing. Thanks so much for joining. Yeah, no, I'm incredibly excited about this. I think before we get into the actual album itself, just kind of get a bit of your backstory, I guess. So just tell us a little bit about this band, this project. Where did it start? How did you two meet? And obviously the third person in the band as well, who can't be here today. How did that all kind of get started?
Oh, yeah. That's a long story. But
We got time.
yeah, that's good. When I started out, when I first started to play or want to play metal, uh, you will be surprised, but Tromsø is not a metal town. So very little metal going on. Very hard to find a band. And in the 2000s, there's also was this attitude that we shouldn't play melody. We should only kind of do this groove and riffy things. Kind of boring in flames.
Yeah.
So like not the old in flames, but the newer. And if you do a worse, boring part of,
No, I know exactly what you
um,
mean.
yeah,
I
and
am unfortunately of a generation that very much grew up with metal in the 2000s, so I do have a soft spot for some of that stuff. But objectively looking back on it, there was a lot of that and not much
yeah.
variety. Um,
Yeah, and then and no solos. You should not play a solo. And I wanted to play solos because I had this more kind of music school background. I had liked playing solos. I also have this kind of blues background. And
Sure.
okay, if the argument is that, oh no, but it's boring if only the why does only the guitar player get to play solos? Okay, fuck you. Everyone plays solos.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of how that happened. I was 16 years and very ambitious, which made it very hard to find musicians to play with.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
find a drummer that actually shows up to rehearsals.
Yeah,
That was
that
really
always
the
seems to be the
curse
most
of
difficult
finding a
part.
drummer. Yeah. So finally, I found Daniel, and he joined and been stable drummer since. Unfortunately, he's not able to participate today. But
As long as he shows up for rehearsal, it's fine.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna say, yeah, if he showed up for this and none of the actual band stuff, that would be worse.
yeah. And then, of course, when Anna joined, we were able to do this more kind of symphonic and classically inspired stuff.
Mm.
And also then I could draw on inspiration from 70s bands like Uriah Heep,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
of which I'm a big fan. And I think now everyone in the band has a relationship to Uriah Heep because I always talk about them. Yeah.
That is amazing. Yeah, that is definitely one of the things listening to the band. I mean, I'm not too familiar with Uriah Heep specifically, but that kind of era and style of music was very much evidenced in your own songwriting. That inspiration there. So we'll get on to listening to that a little bit in a minute. So this new album, how are you feeling about it? How's the recording process been? How different is this to your previous work?
The recording went more smoothly than last time because for the first album, so before the album Tales of Nights and Distant Worlds, we released an EP which is 5 songs and it's like 39 minutes, so we probably should have called it an album.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, same.
39 minutes, yeah, probably an album.
I'm pretty sure Rain and Blood is like shorter than that, so you could probably get away with that. Yeah.
And that first EP was recorded in another rehearsal room, and there were a lot of problems with that. But there was basically we didn't know what we were doing.
Sure, you have to learn
And
somewhere.
for Tales of Nights and Distant Worlds, we ended up with having to switch out all our recording equipment. So sound cards, microphones, you name it. Everything broke down
Yeah.
during the first year of recording.
Oh no.
Which meant that this time we all had only new stuff and nothing broken. We could do like the 3 takes and not having to redo it because of dead microphone or dead cable somewhere.
Yeah, yeah.
And also, I think musically, there are of course always differences when comparing it to the previous album and also to the EP. But I think there is this one or a few kind of basic ideas, I would say, that is very much our thing in a way. And
Yeah.
that always shows. And I would say, well, in a recent review done by Carl of what's his blog called? GBHBL?
Yeah,
Games Brain.
Yeah, I know them.
Life. Very cool platform, and he has been so supporting of us. So for that, we're really grateful. And he did a great review as well. And I think he called our music, among others, unhinged.
That is a great
I
descriptor.
think this fits quite nicely. It's kind of, you have to be into weird stuff in order to like us.
Yeah.
If you expect, this kind of genre typic or subgenre typical, let's say, mellow death metal,
Yeah.
you'll be disappointed.
Yeah.
If you want only power metal vocals or something like that, you'll be disappointed. But if you're in for some surprises, if you like variation, then maybe our music is for you. And I think that has been kind of the same throughout the records.
Sure. Yeah, it's definitely one of the things. Trying to kind of like pigeonhole. Even just within this album, that into like kind of one specific sound, kind of like trying to find a way to label that was difficult. I do enjoy that like your first tag on Bandcamp for this album is something like epic melodic death metal or something like that, and like epic is definitely the word. I think that is really the best kind of descriptive word. Not like none of the kind of like genre nuances. Epic is what you're getting with this, and I think the best thing to do at this point is probably to let music speak for itself. So we can start listening to some of the tracks. So the first track we've got here is Secrets of the Forge. So that's the title track. Do you want to give like a little intro to tell us a bit about this track before we listen to it, or should we cover that afterwards?
Yeah, I can say a few words.
Yeah.
So the video is filmed just us playing live at our previous show in Tromsø. It was the first time we played the song. We played with Darkest Era from Ireland, and we played with Jamie from Bergen. And basically this is not very synced up because we were a bit stressed, or rather I'm the one starting the song, and I played it much faster than it's supposed to be, like a lot faster.
This is mostly why I've never played in bands. I'm very bad for that, yeah.
Trying to make the video work with but basically we just wanted to throw out a lyric video and show us playing live. It's the kind of the easiest way to show music, and
definitely, yeah.
We are a live band. That's where we shine. So we like to show that we are 3 persons. We pull this off live.
Yeah.
No playback. And also on the record, what you hear, except for the bass guitar, which is very low in the mix, it just helps the guitar. This is what we do live.
Yeah. I was going to say, yeah, for a 3-piece band, the kind of depth and like how the fullness of the soundscape is incredibly impressive. But I'll let people listen to for that themselves. So the first track is Secrets of the Forge. We're going to play that now with a video. Hopefully, so trying this earlier, sometimes it was working, sometimes it was being really laggy. I'm hoping it'll work fine. I've lowered the bit rate, so hopefully it will. Might be slightly lower quality, but it should at least be smooth. So let's give that a go, and we'll work with it if it isn't. So this is Secrets of the Forge. And we're back. So that was Secrets of the Forge, an incredible album opener. I think we can all agree. They're absolutely amazing. Absolutely in love with the organ lines. With that one, the rapidly kind of rising and falling scale is like the kind of main organ riff. It's a really, just a really tense and intense feeling that really lends itself to the song. Hello, Screwtop Kittens. Thank you for the comment. We were finding in my Twitch details. Album was sounding pretty great. Yep, no, absolutely agreed. I love it. I really love the whole kind of driving rhythm of this. It's almost reminiscent of kind of the more kind of folky and Viking metal that was actually the stuff I kind of really got into in like when I first got into the kind of more extreme sides of metal. But also with some riffs that are more reminiscent of black metal as well. So you've really got a nice loads of different kind of musical techniques and influences that I can detect there. They might not even be conscious influences. Maybe that's just my perception of music, but I really like it as a mixture of styles. And yeah, epic really is the word for that. If you were to sum it up in a word, I think that's it. Is that was that a kind of conscious sound that you were going for, or were you just kind of, is that just where your writing took you?
It's quite interesting because we weren't that consciously deciding that, oh, we want to sound epic.
Yeah.
But we have been using this kind of ways of writing that if you ask someone that are actually good at writing epic music will say, yes, you should do this or that. I talked with the singer and bass player of Dark Quarter about this. And he says, like, specifically, if you want an epic melody, you need to have this big scale drums, not like just 2 or 3 notes, but you should go to the 5th or the 7th and stuff like that. So for what for us was very natural as translating this really kind of epic sound and kind of bit Dark Quarter inspired, or also for me a bit Rhapsody.
Yeah,
Stuff
there is definitely some of that, yeah.
in the guitar. And of course then we go for this very kind of folk metal fast riff that is kind of a bit Einherjar inspired.
Yeah.
So we kind of mixed it all together because of course we have this very Scandinavian approach with the inspiration from Norwegian black metal,
Of course,
Swedish
yeah.
melodic death metal. Daniel is big fan of Emperor, Immortal, all those bands.
Yeah.
And you can hear that in
There's
his drumming.
there's some very the drumming is very Immortal in particular. I think that's definitely. I was trying to place what it reminded me of, and I think that is exactly it. Yeah.
And of course, Enslaved, which is more of kind of this experimental.
Yeah, of course.
And then he also likes Toto, which I think goes more and more in his playing.
Yeah, no.
No, because he specifically, well, he likes Toto, but he also specifically likes the drumming of Porcaro, the drummer of Toto.
Yeah.
So you can see a lot of the cymbal stuff he does is inspired by that.
Yeah, there was some really. I mean, I think it helped having this as actually a live performance video actually, because kind of seeing the actual kind of like drummer's technique, there was some really interesting and intricate stuff going on. But I'll preface by saying I have never played drums. I do not know the first thing about playing drums, but from the live music I've seen, like even just like the actions of it were very unlike anything I've seen any other band doing before, even before translating that to kind of the kind of sonic experience of that. It is interesting to see Toto because I do think kind of that kind of like more kind of like power pop as a genre. The drumming does tend to be really good, and that does tend to be, I think, a lot of the hook of kind of really making those genres as popular and as accessible as they are. And I do think the really solid kind of rhythmic foundation of this song is. I mean, I'm someone who likes a lot of weird music, so I can't necessarily talk about people who maybe don't as much, but I do feel that solid foundation does give you a bit of license to do the more kind of like weird and progressive stuff in a way that isn't too exclusionary of people. Like, I think you still need to be open-minded, and you still need to kind of give it, like, if it's not something you're used to listening to, it might take you a bit. But it is something, like, a lot of those riffs do have lived in my head. Since first hearing that song, So yeah, absolutely incredible composition there. I was a big fan of the lyrical conceit of that one as well. I really enjoyed. Oh yeah, I think yeah. I mean, anyone who follows the massive fucking blogs I write every month about kind of protest music and all that kind of stuff will know I'm an absolute sucker for kind of like revolutionary lyrics like this. And I think even lyrics aside, I think the organs in particular, but really the whole composition, really do kind of tell that story. That kind of like that kind of leading of kind of like a mutiny, like an uprising, fighting against the people who are trying to make you fight. Is kind of what I kind of took from it, and just yeah, that general kind of like fascist oppression against that, and I think yeah, I think the song captured that really well. I guess yeah, in terms of lyrics writing, do you tend to start with the kind of riffs that sound cool or kind of musical ideas, or do you go in with the lyrics first, or is it a kind of mixture of both in terms of like kind of the tone you want to set?
It's always the music first,
Sure.
because most of the time we have no idea what the song will be about. It's like okay, often and most often, and again, kind of we have to go back to the drummer, and it's so sad that he couldn't be here because it's kind of really is his
Yeah.
thing, because he warms up and he does some rhythmic things, and okay, I could stand around with the guitar or I could play something.
Yeah.
So often the songs start there, and almost
Yeah.
always they will start as a jam,
Mm.
or someone. Sometimes Daniel or drummer will sing if he has an idea. He has to sing it
Yeah.
because he only plays drums. So if he has a riff, he has to sing it to me, and I have to try to play it based on
That's
that.
pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and like for example, a very good example from the first EP, Raw War, the kind of main riff there. That's Daniel singing,
Yeah. Oh, okay.
and then we worked over it and expanded on it. But or I think also from the EP, Forgotten Ones also start with a melody that Daniel had dreamt.
Mm.
While now it's more kind of in the rehearsal room. We have idea, or someone brings riff into the room,
Yeah.
and then we kind of feel, okay, what kind of story could be in this riff or this combination of riffs?
Yeah.
So like the next song, Burn the Boats,
Yeah.
was initially about depression,
Mm.
but we couldn't close on that, and then Anna found another theme we could do instead. So it's kind of the lyrics happen in the middle, and then we will kind of see, okay, what needs changing to help the lyrics bring the message. Like
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
song we heard now, Secrets of the Forge, while the lyrics were more or less finished, then came this very kind of a mix of I would say extreme metal and Saracen inspired synth. If you have heard the British prog rock heavy metal band from the 80s,
I don't think I have. I
Saracen.
don't think I have actually. No.
Oh, you should check
Please
them
check
out.
them out. They are
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
cool.
No, definitely.
Mm.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I already like that. I already like that kind of music a lot. And yeah, I'll definitely check them out. Sounds like my thing. It's probably a good moment to segue into the second track, actually, as you brought up Burn the Boats there. Another one which lyrically I think is absolutely just absolutely hitting the nail on the head, and the lyrics video as well I think contextualizes that a lot, so I'm really glad we got a video along with this one. Is there anything more you want to say before we go into this track? Any kind of introduction, or should we leave that till afterwards?
A little fun fact there is that, as Igor said, that the song started, most of the riffs are from a song that we thought we would write about depression.
Yeah.
But the riffs actually ended up in two different songs. Some
Okay.
of them ended up on Burn the Boats, and some of them, I think at least one verse, is on Ghost Story.
Okay.
So that happens also quite a lot. We have one idea, and then suddenly it's two or even three songs.
Yeah. Oh, that's fascinating. Yeah, sort of knowing that bit of context actually is really interesting in the context of the song. But we'll discuss that afterwards, I think, a bit. So yeah, this next track is Burn the Boats. We're going to play that now.
One thing I want to say,
go on.
we don't use green screen for these songs.
Okay.
Actually standing outside.
All on location. Okay.
And Anna is actually outside in the middle of winter. It's -6 degrees and it's windy.
Oh no.
It's fucking cold.
And notice when the sea, and this is midwinter in Tromsø, the sea is 4 degrees.
Yeah.
When they go over my boots while I stand in the water.
Okay, well,
look at that part in the
Okay.
start of the song.
Let's look out for that. Okay, here's the song Burn the Boats. And that was Burn the Boats. Yes, now that you've pointed out just how like you've shot that in winter, that looks it
I
looks
hope that
painful.
you
Yeah,
I hope that like you love that video because I think it looks so
it
cool
does look
and
gorgeous.
like
Yeah,
it's obviously not up to me to say, yeah, your frostbite was totally worth it, but I think it looks wicked and you should be really proud. Like
yeah,
I I know that I'm a wimpy little baby when it comes to the cold.
yeah,
I also know that I'm like a wimpy little baby when it comes to having my instruments near things that might damage them. I
yeah,
feel like if I'd gone anywhere near any water with a guitar in my hand, I would have spent the whole time convinced I was going to fall over
yeah.
and break it and myself. So, like, the fact that you went out and did that in winter and you didn't just go, well, maybe we'll just push this one back by 6 months till it's sunny and warm. Like,
But
comparatively,
it's
is
not
like
warm in the sea. It's not warm in the sea.
No.
a more bearable temperature is
No,
commendable.
Both yes and no.
no. Because the next video you will again see me in the sea. And that's me.
This is your niche now,
It's
yeah.
I mean,
still
I've
fucking
seen it.
4 degrees in the water.
I've seen a lot of the clips you shared of like you in the water, and they all look so metal. Like they all look
They
so
do,
amazing.
yeah,
I think
yeah.
they do like such a great job of just like selling everything you're
There is,
doing.
there are like, I really like the shots of Anna where where like the wind's basically just holding like it's just like it's just like holding the scarf up, and it's just like a really nice image of just like playing the fucking organs with just so you can see how windy it is, and at this point where like the wind clearly isn't letting up, it looks like your scarf and your hair are defying gravity. It's that strong.
I think
Yeah.
if you had shot that like in a set, you would have had to have paid someone so
Oh
much to
yeah,
get that same
and
effect
it wouldn't have
as
looked as
what the
bad.
wind was
Yeah,
actually doing to your like hair and clothes.
yeah,
Yeah. No, but we had to work quite a bit on the angle.
yeah.
Because I think the first angle we chose, and all my hair was just in my face, and then we had to turn a slight bit, and then something else was wrong.
Yeah.
And also, actually, since you mentioned the instrument issue, I think it's really amazing that you did that with your actual favorite guitar that you
Wow.
can't
Oh
buy anymore.
wow.
Because for me, you might have noticed in the video, I'm using a broken organ that someone gave away. And we just kind of got it on the day, recorded the video, and then just brought it to a recycling place. So because I didn't want to bring out my organs in the cold. So
Don't
No, but
blame you at all.
I was only risking the acoustic guitar, which is a cheap guitar. My electric was never near water.
Right.
It's just the angle.
Smart.
I have like a 10, 15 meters between me and the water. It's in the snow, though, but
and it's easier to manage.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and also you might notice that Daniel's shots are only from inside. And that's also
Yes, I
because he
did.
didn't want to bring
Yeah.
the outside.
I was gonna
in
say
winter.
that.
I was
It's
gonna
asking for
say,
trouble.
did you not fancy dragging all the drums down to the beach? Because
Yeah,
yeah,
he vetoed that.
I think that's valid.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also in the next video you will see that even though it's May, he still was a bit kind of skeptical about bringing his main drum kit outside, so we used another drum kit
Again,
and a reduced one as well.
yeah. I think that's reasonable. We've kind of glossed over it, but the song is also very good. I want to clarify.
Yes, the song
Song-
absolutely bangs. Yes.
amazing. Yeah, it's continuous. Got that really satisfying kind of like folky swing to it. It's like I made a kind of similar to the previous one. It's like progressive but very coherently structured, and everything fits together. It feels like you've nailed kind of putting the pieces of it together, and it flows. There's nothing that's particularly jarring or feels out of place in it. The narrative is really spot on. It is really enhanced by the video, like the kind of little bit of text you've got in it to contextualize it as well. I really like. Remind me of the video of Gadar by Bloodywood. That they had a similar kind of technique in there, and that's one of my favorite videos. Enjoy that a lot. So yeah, kind of theming wise, I think it's really interesting that some part, at least part of that song started as a depression song, because that tone lends itself very much to the kind of more like kind of nihilistic view on capitalism and the kind of abuses that has caused through that time, particularly obviously in this case through that kind of particular kind of fishing industry. So I think it lends itself really well tonally, and I think that was a really interesting and good call. So I guess at what point did that become the song that it is thematically?
That would be on the kind of most folky riff.
Yeah.
And that's because that's the riff that was written for the next song that we will hear.
Yeah.
And then it was too similar, so we decided, let's not use it. We don't need it here. But we could do another song with it. And then Anna did research, because originally we didn't want to call the next song Braving the Storm. We had a lot of different names, and we were thinking, okay, maybe just use a ship name with like a Greek ship. And Anna researched that and found out about this whole situation with the burning of the Greek traditional fishing vessels.
Yeah.
And you kind of have to make a song.
Yeah. No, once you've read about that, that's.
I love how specific an issue it is as well. Like, I love how you've gone, because the first one is quite a general call for revolution, and you identify lots of different reasons people might be inclined towards challenging the status quo.
Yeah.
And in this one, you've immediately zeroed down into here is a specific thing that we want to focus on as well. Like, I really like that kind of contrast and that little journey you go on, even just between the two songs.
Yeah.
And also what I would like to add is, and that's a really sad fact, is that lyrically we're not exaggerating. This is actually, most of the lyrics is stating facts, and it was really when reading about this whole boat burning and destruction of traditional fisheries. And then just in some article, I also read that fishing people around the Mediterranean, especially the north and southern Mediterranean, they have started bringing kind of those corpse bags on the fishing boats, because there have been so many people left to die in the Mediterranean while trying to cross, that sometimes the fishermen or the people fishing, they haul up more corpses than fish.
Oof.
And this is like, it's absolutely horrible, and it's no exaggeration. So it's really just kind of, and I think, in this kind of, because metal often lives off exaggeration.
It feels like the kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, if someone put that in like a dystopian story, you'd be like, well, that wouldn't happen. You wouldn't let it no one would let it ever let happen. And it's just as if it's happening like right here, right now. It's
yeah. I think at some point someone in some forum on the internet, which I think really hit the nail on the head, said that would people in the majority of a society perceive as dystopian science fiction is the reality for minorities.
Yeah, 100%.
Just so spot on.
This is why, and something that certainly I'm seeing more platform lately is getting kind of like metal and punk bands from more marginalized groups are getting more traction, or maybe I'm just in the right circles and hearing about them now. But you can tell that there is a huge difference lyrically between people writing about their own experiences, whatever kind of demographic minority they are in, versus the bands who certainly 10-20 years ago would have been kind of the kind of big hitters on the genres. And it's just like there's something more visceral about an alien weaponry or anything like that compared to a kind of Slayer singing about stuff out of kind of fascination of the kind of darkest stuff they can write. There's still, it is in some ways that just feels kind of camp from Slayer, but then you kind of get but then when you do get you kind of like your bloody woods, your alien weaponries, that kind of thing. There's something so much more visceral about it, and it is, and I think you can often tell when it is being kind of like exaggerated for like a theatrical reason, and there's not inherently anything wrong with doing that if that's the music you want to make. But
No.
yeah, there is
Absolutely.
definitely. I find myself. It's a really nice way of kind of learning about kind of other cultures and other, frankly, atrocities that usually the British have done, if not are not, or at the very least complicit in. That and they're kind of like,
Is there an atrocity the British aren't at least complicit in?
Exactly, this is it. But that's it. There's like so many, and I'm aware of. Okay, these are all the people we fucked over, but not necessarily the specifics. And kind of learning about that, and just like still having such a low estimation of British history, and it just still being disappointed and shocked by some of the things you find out. But yeah, no, I think that's possibly my favourite song off the album. But it is a very tight competition. All of these are fucking great. And this next one is this is another great one. Braving the Storm. We mentioned that a bit earlier, so it's probably time to move on to that. Do you have an introduction for this next track?
So this track started kind of me just playing around on an acoustic guitar and getting this kind of folky melody, and there were some other bands were doing kind of this folky, sea, but not piratey thing.
Yeah.
I'd listened to and kind of, I can do that as well. So that's kind of the start of it. So and often our songs start off very mundane, and then suddenly we get the idea lyrical to kind of move it in a darker direction, like with this song that start with kind of this more kind of the idea of the coastal services that does rescue in Norway, and Daniel had previously made a song for different projects with that, and kind of let's do something on that, and then the also kind of just in the news you would hear about this pushbacks that is kind of at least Norwegian taxpayer money and EU taxpayer money. I don't know if Britain currently is in Frontex, but you have the same in the British Channel. Basically is leaving people to die instead of saving them at sea. They have the wrong skin color.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's and you should mention your solo because it has a very interesting thing.
Yeah, that's the solo on Braving the Storm I'm particularly proud of.
It is one of my favorite of your solos.
I don't know how many takes until I was really satisfied with it, and Igor really kind of pushed forward as well, really challenging me to do better and more, and go all the way. And it's just because the solo kind of tries to encompass everything the song is a tale about, and that's quite a stretch in a way. Quite something to reach for. And I'm also there including harmonically lots of dissonances, so many actually that our mixing engineer, when he was working on the song, got in touch and asked, are you, just to double check, are you sure that the solo you sent is correct? Because it sounds so dissonant. And I was like, okay, well, let's see, because my reference for dissonance is kind of, and there again, this kind of the background with European classical music. I listen quite a bit to Shostakovich and Prokofiev, and they have some really weird harmonies in their music, especially Shostakovich. I think today he would be composing scores for horror movies. He has this absolute suspense and anger and hate, really, and rage in his music, but then in this kind of downtoned way. So now I'm really getting into the details. So I tried to kind of to take a bit of inspiration from there, and it turned out kind of, I think, fitting quite well with our overall weirdness topic, but then also I think I managed to still keep it epic and not just weird.
I certainly agree with that. Right, let's start the track. So this is Braving the Storm. Absolutely phenomenal video again. I think this is the first time we've had like actual music videos to showcase on this show. It's really nice, partly because it's meant I've had to spend less time getting the visualizers working. So I do appreciate that, but nothing else. I love this track a lot. I love like from the very first like opening riff. That's very kind of power metal-y. I'm really into that. It's a really kind of like driving edge to it, and still with the kind of the more kind of like atmospheric. I don't want to say black metal-y, but like a lot. Yeah, the kind of more ambient kind of tremolo picking stuff as well. Kind of intertwining that all together, but also some just absolute, just some really good rock riffs in that. I'm a big fan of that. As well. It's interesting you mentioned beforehand the kind of piratey feeling to it, as like I definitely did in my head, and it's a very basic comparison. But I was like, oh, this sounds kind of Ailstormy at parts, like. But I've not even like listened to them in fucking years. But that's just kind of the immediate one was like association. But yeah, this is the one I actually really noted just how intricate the organ solos were, and how by themselves they do seem to like tell like I think if like the songs are perfect as they are, but I think if it was just the organ solos, you would still get like about a lot of that story if you just listen to that without any kind of lyrical context. I think you've absolutely nailed the vibes and tones with that. It's one of those, I don't really know what the word for it is. It's like there's a bit of a motivational tone to it, but also a kind of underlying despair as well, of like the kind of needing to have hope, and kind of having that hope as a necessity, but also everything's terrible. I need to sum that up in fewer words, but the whole narrative you paint with this is great.
I think you summed that up in pretty good words.
Yeah.
I feel like I feel like I felt very seen when you said that.
Yeah.
Like, why should I need to be hopeful for this thing that I think is the bare minimum?
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
Like, I feel like that about a lot of social issues.
Yes.
And I feel like capturing that feeling in like the atmosphere of a song while you're talking about something specific is so important to conveying how crucial the issue is for the people affected by it.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's absolutely nailed it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think towards the end, that kind of the kind of vocal build up and harmonizing towards the end was really reminiscent of one of my favorite prog metal bands who I do not listen to enough, but called Manticora, and like there's particularly like there's like one like Eight Deadly Sins is like one of my favorite metal albums of all time, and there was a lot of kind of reminiscent of that kind of energy, because they do that kind of power metal kind of vocals, but with a slightly kind of eerie, kind of minor, ominous kind of tone to it, which I really like. It's got that power, but it's also kind of haunting and creepy. And yeah, I've just been gushing about this song. I've not actually let you get a word in edgeways. But yeah, I really love that
No,
song.
but we like that. But it's interesting. So kind of both on kind of the music side and the lyric side. So taking the music first, it's interesting that you reference black metal, because in Norway we had, in the early days of this kind of Norwegian black metal, you also got the avant-garde black metal or avant-garde bands like Arcturus or Borknagar.
Yeah.
And Ulver also had a bit of that, and kind of that is much more proggy, but has this really kind of black metal foundation, like the drums. You can do growling vocals, and then you have a lot of synthesizers or keyboards or whatever.
Yeah.
And much more over the top than what Emperor does, because they're just kind of big and epic. But
Yeah.
Arcturus has this really technical stuff. So I think that's
absolutely.
definitely a part of it. And with all of us, again, being big fans of bands like Arcturus.
Mm.
And on the lyrical side, I think both songs, well, actually all three so far, but especially Burn the Boats and Bring the Storm, has very this kind of call to direct action. Build a boat, go out and rescue people at sea. Kind of very kind of clear message. And kind of, I think it's important not to just describe the problem, but have be very clear about what we want and what we see
Yeah,
people are
definitely.
doing about it.
Yeah, I think it's a difference between like one of those kind of what's what I'm looking for? It's the difference between one of those kind of like clout chasing charity songs about an issue and a song that's actually exploring it, and the ones being like, "Oh, this is the problem, isn't this bad? You should know about this, and you should help these charities." And then there's the ones that being like, "This is happening because of these attitudes, because of these decisions, because of these politicians, because of these cultures within." The kind of political landscape we're in, and that's something that I think I mean, kind of less so in metal, as I think that does appear a lot more in it. But certainly, like, yeah, when you think about a lot of the big songs that do tackle these issues, mainstream don't really want to like hear about all that. The kind of like nuances behind it, or the actual kind of root causes. Is they'd want to be like, oh, I can text this number and donate a tenner to this charity, who may be very well be doing good work, but are kind of band-aiding the issue, not actually stopping it from happening.
Yeah, and I think I kind of spontaneously started thinking about it because kind of when I look at the video for Braving the Storm, kind of isolated with, the footage from the organization CI that does search and rescue in the Mediterranean and kind of our call to donate to them. It's really, I think in the context of the album, it's so important to see it, for example, in the context and in connection with Secrets of the Forge, because we not only want people to be aware of the very important rescue work that is being done in the Mediterranean, because of course, if they weren't out there, these organizations, even more people would die. So that's definitely important. But at the same time, we can never lose out of sight that politically what we have to do is holding EU politicians accountable, is holding national politicians accountable, is abolishing fucking Frontex, and they're really kind of the Secrets of the Forge vibe comes in more importantly. So
this is something we've actually touched on so far, but like the arrangement of these tracks, the actual like track listing order is really nice. You got Secret of the Forge, which is kind of like a more general kind of mission statement about kind of rising up and kind of like turning against your oppressors, and then kind of both Burn the Boats and Braving the Storm do touch on kind of very similar problems, and I think just the kind of the story and the vibe the album's telling is really coherent and consistent, and I think that's I don't know how much that was a kind of conscious decision in terms of the track ordering, but it really works the way you've done this. Actually, yeah, let's ask that in terms of like the ordering of the tracks or like the releasing of the singles. What was the kind of thinking behind that? Was it is it kind of to tell like a narrative, or did it just kind of end up being that way and working?
We tried several orders, but it became quite soon apparent that Secrets of the Forge had to be the first and Humankinds Fall be the last.
Yes.
But we did consider to have, and of course, Braving the Storm and Burn the Boats being the sister songs.
Yeah, they do
and
need
in
to be
my
next to each
mind,
other,
it's the same ship.
In
my mind, it's the same ship in both stories.
Yeah. It's almost that thing of like you even need to have them next to each other or kind of bookending the album. But I think Secrets of the Forge is definitely that is the perfect opening track.
And it's kind of then got this very logical progression of the story, which then kind of ends on Ghost Story before you have this kind of break.
Bit of a respite,
Dragon of Ice. It is a bit a special sound and a bit out.
Yeah.
The lyric topic.
Yeah.
But still somehow connected.
Yeah. Fab. Actually, mentioning Ghost Story, you can probably start the next track now, actually. The next track is Ghost Story. And I think you mentioned, I can't remember if we were live or whether this was while the song was on, but you said this is the kind of the kind of highest budget video you've got so far. Do you want to tell us a bit about this track before we go into it?
Yeah, I can start. I think it's one this is one of the songs, because on every album I can't really say that I have one favorite songs. I like all the songs in their own way, and then
Yeah.
I have some personal favorites just because I just love so much playing them. And I think on this album, Ghost Story is really the song. When I'm just sitting at the piano playing for myself, I quite often play the acoustic version of Ghost Story.
Mm.
And the intro riff with the waltz rhythm was conceived while I was improvising and started to expand on the usual minor. I think it was an F minor scale.
Yeah, yeah.
And started adding chromatic elements into it. And then it got this really kind of eerie, ghosty vibe. And then we started expanding on it. And I think at the same time, more or less, we were watching a TV series as well that was about ghosts. And then so I think like that, the idea of having a ghost song emerged.
Yeah, yeah.
But then the music kind of dictated and took it in a different direction, because of course the story is here the persecution of, again, refugees and persecution of every kind of minority person, every kind of unjustly persecuted. Well, like there could be a just persecution, but every persecuted person where the kind of government is the one persecuting you.
Yeah, yeah.
And we were very lucky to be able to hire actual police uniforms. That's the Norwegian police uniforms from the 50s. We're using. Remind me to get back to that, because there's a interesting detail there on the uniforms. But and that was kind of made because the first kind of this ghost story was more kind of this kind of first, okay, there was scary ghosts, and then maybe it shouldn't be that scary because we saw this series which is Bring It On Ghosts. It's a cool Korean series, check it out. But and there they have this kind of a mental hospital where there's a lot of ghosts because of bad treatment, and kind of the whole problem with mental illness being treated as something to punish and abuse for.
Sure.
And then at the end of the song, you have this variation on the main verse. So it's the same verse but played differently, and I play a solo over it. And that reminds me of all the Soviet war movies and kind of this whole Second World War theme, this kind of the songs about all the people that didn't return from the war and all that.
Yeah.
And then kind of it brought it all together with the concentration camps and the prison camps and the uprisings, like Sobibor, which was the kind of most successful concentration camp uprising, where the most people were able to escape, and kind of bring that in, and the persecuted person.
Yeah.
That's kind of when it all got together, but it wasn't never kind of meant as a program song. It just became that way because of the music.
Yeah, yeah. That is fascinating. Let's listen to track enough. I'm sure we'll revisit some of those ideas. Certainly, it seems a very loaded, heavy one. So let's go on to this song. This is Ghost Story. I think this is also the first one that isn't currently released as a single. Do correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, this is the world premiere.
Yes, it's the world premiere of it. So
exciting stuff.
Yeah. Here we go. Cool, so that was Ghost Story. I'll be honest, that's the first time I've seen that video in full. I looked at it a bit to check it was working, and yeah, that was. I would go as far as saying masterpiece. That's fucking incredible. It's
Thank you.
interesting actually because I don't remember. I think we might not have been live at the point, but we were chatting about a Preston band Ward 16 because I noticed them on somebody's jacket or like in the background somewhere, and there's definitely a bit of their flavour of kind of like vaudeville cabaret horror metal in the intro of that song that I really like. I'm an absolute sucker for that. Not that they invented that style, but that's who I first thought of with that. Also, yeah, really pulling from the kind of black metal influences on this one, which really works for the ghostly context. Makeup was amazing, and that also really lends itself to that kind of aesthetic. But that kind of contrasted with the melody and the kind of not a subtweet, but like the sound quality that is maybe less of a black metal thing. I think, yeah, a couple of questions. So first of all, you said you wanted to go back to the uniforms. There was a detail on there. Did you want to mention that? Or
Yes.
Yeah.
So Norwegian police uniforms got this very nice access with sticks around in the 30s.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
in the 30s.
Oh, okay, right.
And they got them back on those uniforms in the 50s.
Right.
Yeah, and that's so awkward. That's so bloody awkward. But so yeah, you have those on the uniform, so you kind of have this kind of. Everyone is very kind of much painted in full color here.
Yeah,
Even
yeah,
though it's
yeah.
black and white. It's kind of, we don't just have the police. We have police with actual fascist symbols on them.
We
Yeah.
didn't have to make them look fascist.
They
Their
just found the.
uniform-wise did the job
Ah.
themselves. Basically, it's just
Also, yeah, I guess I want to shout out to the actors who just like who wanted to do that for their music video. This is something I was watching. Look at like because a lot of music videos I've been watching lately do have when people are whether they're portraying literal fascist or whether it's He's a Man by Bob Vylan, and it's a guy just playing like the worst kind of bloke possible. And I'm always just kind of like, to do this music video, they must be all right people, but they're just kind of using their face, being like, "Oh, you look like this prick. Do you mind?"
Yeah, you look like you are the worst.
And then just your face will be like it's just associated with that character. If I ever met him, so I think a massive kudos for really anyone who's willing to play a dickhead in a music video, and
but
despite
you
all that.
know. Yeah, this was actually quite a process of considering. I mean, and now really, I mean, the friends we have are not, what should I say, are not among the kind of the problematic kind
of course,
people, one could say. But we really did have, we were quite seriously considering when thinking about whom to ask, would this person like playing this role a bit too much?
Yeah.
People where we had the slightest bit of suspicion was just an absolute no-go, because and the three people that ended up playing the police people, they are the kindest people we know. They were really
it's a hard role to play.
Yeah, and they did so great. They are not actors, none of them,
except for the policeman with the beard. He has done some acting, some theater.
Okay,
but not movie actors. And Hjalda, our main star, has also been in some movie productions actually.
Yeah, that's
but
true.
The police people. So the third police person, she is actually the artist that made our cover.
Oh, okay.
Oh, cool.
We've not mentioned the cover.
And then you get to see her like
cover.
this.
Yeah. Oh, amazing. It is absolutely beautiful cover. I don't actually know. I think we had it on the stream starting soon screen, and I've taken like the actual Dreamslain kind of crop of that as the background, because I really like that here. But yeah, it is a gorgeous album cover. When I ported it to OBS, and it was so massive as well. So like the fidelity on that image is beautiful as well. Which for like I don't know if there are going to be physical releases for this, but like if you figure that compressed onto a CD cover is fairly tiny, really. So
no, but it looks great on CD.
Oh yeah, I bet it does. But it looks amazing even blown up as well. So it's like
but I just have to show.
Lengths. Oh, if you got them,
Yay!
Oh yeah. So they're on sale from the 14th. and we'll have them on our show as well.
Amazing. Fantastic. In terms of international shipping, is that something that you do? Or
Jonny,
is
do you
that-
want me to pick you up while I'm in
I would love
Norway?
you to pick me up one, yeah.
I will get you one.
Absolutely.
Sorted. But also, that was just a general question for anyone. Like most of our viewers are in the UK, so just kind of working out if that was logistically tricky for you, or
yeah.
you prefer that was done digitally.
No, we really love sending physical CDs.
Yeah.
And T-shirts, and we will send worldwide, because if there's someone, and I think we actually have sent outside of Europe at least.
Yeah.
So please do order.
Sure.
Of course, Norwegian postal system is very expensive. I feel internationally we pay more to the post service than we actually paid for the CD. But
okay,
it's
yeah.
the same if you order from the States. It's the same. So it's you order some cool underground band. Have been Shield of
really
Wings
cool.
or something like that. And we paid more for the
Yeah,
than the CD.
no, like I've cut down on my CD collection quite massively recently, largely because like I hadn't really cut down since a teenager, and a bunch of bands I listened to have turned out to be either like nonsense or like horrible people, unfortunately. But also like a bunch of things where like I'm like I just like don't really listen to that much anymore. Like I've got rid of most of my big four CDs because I'm just like all the thrash I listen to is not this, and like I've kind of got this here for the sake of having it, and it's kind of like I don't know, it feels kind of lame to just have like a complete Slayer discography on the CD shelves. But also, like the ones that I do treasure the most now are the ones that I just pick up at small concerts, or the ones where I like pre-order from small bands. And like those are the things that I like actually displaying. Whereas like I feel like if I'm just displaying a bunch of Metallic albums, I'm like, oh, I picked this up from a supermarket because they had it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like I'll mostly be listening to my music on like streaming, or at least like on iTunes or something. So there's no real need for me to keep the physical one, but I really like keeping the physical ones for bands who I actually properly connect with, and also just like small bands who like I go to see off a whim or go on a recommendation of a friend and love them. So yeah. Completely got sidetracked from the song there. That's fine. Another question I wanted to ask is, so I think Anna, you mentioned before, kind of this is your first kind of experience in like in a metal band. I kind of wanted to kind of get your experience on how that's been challenging, if that has been challenging, and how that compares to what you were doing, like the kind of music you were used to composing or performing if you weren't composing before.
Yeah. No, in the beginning, it took quite some time to convince me to try out the band context, so to say, because since I did this Western classical piano, there is always this huge amount of worrying going on that if you go from piano to church organ, or if you go from piano to keyboard and synthesizers, you'll destroy your attack technique.
Right, sure.
Because, for example, church organ has a much heavier attack.
Sure.
When you transfer that back to piano, then it sounds really kind of like using a hammer on the keys.
Right.
So when I tried out, it turned out it's quite easy to kind of think back and forth, and also it kind of comes naturally with the kinds of things I'm playing.
Yeah.
And of course, sometimes there will be I'll have to do a bit of this kind of. I'll have to do a bit of practicing to go back to, let's say, the classical method or something like that.
Sure.
But it hasn't been that big of a deal. I think with my non-metal background and in the approach to what I do in the band, really the main, what should I say, the main point, the main thing I've been bringing to the band is that for me, with my musical background, it was absolutely out of the question that I would be doing those one hand, one chord, or two chords per song.
Yeah.
This kind of atmospheric in the background thing.
Yeah.
To me, that's just not playing.
No.
That's yeah. So for me, it was always I have to most of the time, and there I've changed a bit, because in the beginning I was also it is out of the question to only use one hand. I will be using two hands. I will be playing an accompaniment in the left hand, because if not, that's not playing. And with the years, when I got more and more into kind of experimenting, especially with the Hammond organ and the synthesizers,
Yeah.
and the Waldorf synthesizer that I'm using, I have a part with that one on Secrets of the Forge.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
think
hello,
I
Queer
will
Buccaneers
have
rating us for Party of 7. Thank you very much, Eden. Hope you're doing well and had a lovely stream. Sorry to cut you off there, but that's probably the biggest
Oh,
raid
no
we've ever
worries.
had. So thanks so much for joining us. If you're
Yeah,
just
that's
joining
really
us,
nice.
we are interviewing Igor and Anna from Dreamslain with to promoting their new album, which is going to be out on Friday. Kind of progressive, folky, extreme metal. So if that's not your thing, I appreciate you being here and dropping in, but just thought I'd let you know if that is not something that interests you, you do not need to hang around. I won't be offended. But thanks very much for dropping in, because I don't actually think I changed the stream title because it may be expecting something very different. But thank you very much for joining us. Hope you had a lovely stream. Sorry, Anna, back to you.
No worries. Yeah, so the Waldorf synthesizer is a mono synth. So there I just have no other option than playing with one hand. And going from there and then working with different synthesizer tones, I've come to see the appeal that it can have of having only one main melody, and especially in the context of a band. You don't always need kind of the second, the left hand as well.
No,
but I think
Oh, sorry, go on.
Oh, no worries. The prominence of the keyboards is something that I think is rather unusual in metal.
Yeah.
Some people get so annoyed by it, sometimes in reviews or other contexts. It's just, what are the keyboards doing there? You have to cut them down. We want to hear the guitar, only the guitar. Or actually, I think the first mix we did of our EP, Tales of War, that was a different mixing engineer.
Yeah.
And he turned the keyboards so far down that on my keyboard solo on the Forgotten Ones, which is the last song on the EP Tales of War, one couldn't hear my solo, but only the rhythm guitar.
Play 3 fucking chords. It's literally 3. No. Yeah, it's actually a variation over 1 chord, so it's even more boring.
So it's boring.
For 1 minute.
I was like, what are you doing? We asked him, and he was just, but I don't like keyboards in metal. And then it was, well, maybe we'll have to look for a mixing engineer.
I feel like you're not compatible there.
So we were very lucky to find Steve.
Yeah.
Who's, by the way, located in southern England now.
Okay, cool.
He's looking for work.
Okay.
He's building a studio.
Oh, that's neat.
But with the money from mixing our album.
Mix your albums and just run away from you. Oh, no. I guess you also have to relocate now.
No, but he's been great. We have used him for the remix of the EP. We used him for Tales of Nights and Distant Worlds, and we used him for the album. And he will be the one mixing our next album.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, fantastic.
He's a joy to work with.
Yeah, well, he's done absolutely phenomenal job on this. So I can imagine. It's an interesting point you make, because I think. I do listen to a lot of metal bands who will have kind of keyboards or synths or organs in them, it is rare, but I think what's especially rare is to have a free piece, where one of them is a keyboard. I think that is something I don't think I've encountered before. There might be other examples, but I certainly don't think I've encountered them before. And you do really make your presence known, and I think that is a lot of the depth of the song comes from that. I think during the kind of song composition and writing, you do kind of flip between, all the components really do come together to make this what this is. But I think the organ in particular really makes its presence known, and because it is a somewhat unusual instrument to have in this genre, that does make it stand out a lot. A couple more notes I had on Ghost Story, things that I really enjoyed. I really like the first time I think you really kind of broke into proper kind of guttural, visceral vocals around the middle, contrasting with the kind of clean, haunting piano. I really like that. I'm a sucker for that. the main piano and vocal hook, where you're kind of like harmonizing between the two, is really infectious towards the end. It put me in mind of kind of nursery rhymes, which are always creepy. As going back to the Cruel Mother EP, the Oranges and Lemons, and the riff drop at the end was so. That was immaculately transitioned to such a sharp turn in sonic direction, but so well integrated. It sounded like a panic attack, and I mean that in the best way. But yeah, no, I think again, I think you have a knack for really nailing the tone and the story of what you're going for in the music before the lyrics are even involved. I didn't, because I didn't even read. So for the first 3 tracks, you had the lyrics on your Bandcamp, so I read them. These next 3, I do not know the lyrics, so what I'm getting is more based on like the actual experience of the song, and I don't always kind of distinguish what the lyrics are. But I think even so, there's no kind of question to the kind of tone and narrative that you're going for there. Okay, I think
the video really shows the story.
It does as well. Yeah, the videos.
And one of the things we want to do was kind of to get this kind of concentration camp prison uniforms going.
Yeah.
And that was really important for us. And also on my solo, I actually tried to bring in some klezmer style, which is kind of the East European Jewish traditional music. But again, it's of course a mix of different influences, but kind of this klezmer music in the solo.
Yeah.
Without kind of going all Fiddler on the Rooftop.
Yeah. No, it was definitely there.
Having the kind of some of it. And just because we talked about LARPing before the show started, the first verse was originally a LARP song.
Okay.
So that's where things come from. Just a kind of creepy place in the forest.
Definitely took a turn, yeah.
Yeah. But that's, and I think I have very little acoustic guitars on this album compared to the previous one. And this is one where I think I just play the electric, clean but electric. And it's only really on Braving the Storm I bring out the nylon string to get this kind of folky thing. And also on the next song, it's just the electric and 12-string electric.
Oh, perfect. That is a nice segue into the next song, actually. I think we've talked
about that. Sounds very cool.
Fab, yeah, so next song, I feel like I had another point I was going to make or something I was going to ask there, but I've forgotten, so it's probably not important. If I think of it, I will bring it up later. But for now, I think we can move on to the next song. So this one is The Dragon of Ice. Do you want to tell us a bit about that before we get into it?
Yeah, so this song is, if you remember our previous album, there's a song called Shadow Warriors, which I wrote when I was 18, and then I kind of rewrote. And Dragon of Ice is just as old. We had to work a lot more on it to be able to pull it off. Also because I had to sing clean vocals on most of the songs, and that's something I was struggling on the last album.
Okay.
I've actually been taking vocal lessons from the singer of Dark Quarterer.
Oh, nice.
That's why I mention them so often, because they're kind of the fathers of epic progressive metal.
Yeah.
And they are a huge inspiration. And it's also interesting that their keyboard player is also not from a metal context, and therefore they have a lot of keyboards.
Oh, fantastic. I feel like I need to check these guys out. I've not heard of them before. So,
you should, I will send you some links.
Please do. Yeah.
You should send on this power metal band you mentioned, the
Manticora. Yeah. Will do. Yeah.
So anyway, so Dragon of Ice is me, 18-year-old, trying to write a cool song.
Yeah.
And we try to kind of keep that, so I have to both satisfy myself as 20 years later to feel this is still a cool song, but I also need to satisfy the 18-year-old in me.
Yeah.
And that, especially on my guitar solo, I had that in mind. And the lyrics is basically this kind of girl find the dragon in the woods, and all the villagers are afraid of the dragon, and then later the dragon comes and saves them. But originally it was inspired by George Martin's story.
Yeah.
Which kind of sucked, and I think it was kind of I was really unhappy, so I had to rewrite the ending because I think in George Martin's version, everyone dies, and it's basically this kind of metaphor of growing up and realizing the world is a bad place.
Yeah.
And that is kind of how I feel it ties into this album.
Sure.
Kind of, yes, the world is dark, but there is also hope.
Yeah.
Is the message there.
That is definitely a consistent tone. Fair, but okay. Again, yeah, this is one I've only listened to like once in part, so I'm looking forward to hearing this. So this is The Dragon of Ice. So that was Dragon of Ice. I enjoyed that a lot. This is the first time I've heard it in full. Yeah, first notes I've written down are just the words upbeat and hope. So I think you've definitely nailed that
Ah,
going forward. Yeah, it definitely feels like the most power metal-y of the ones we've had so far. It's I think you could just see me smiling and nodding on throughout that. Yeah, I enjoyed that a lot. That was incredibly catchy. It is a nice respite from the tone of the rest of the album, but it doesn't feel out of place. Like it still retains a lot of the kind of sonic qualities I think throughout, but it does take it is a tonal shift, and I think that is needed after. I mean, like yeah, the last three tracks really. Were all definitely kind of less hopeful. We'll say that. I actually wrote here this is the most guitar driven one so far, and then the organ solo started, and I was like, okay, scrap that. But no, yeah, the riffs on this are really good. It's just a pure. It's just a pure it's just a pure power metal anthem that I really enjoyed, and it is I think a nice placing into the into the final track as well. I think it's a really good second to last track, and I say that without having heard the last track properly yet. But it feels like the kind of thing that would lead into a final track. So I enjoyed that a lot. Yeah, you mentioned sort of kind of attempting more kind of clean singing with that, and it definitely is a distinct vocal style compared to what we've kind of heard so far. How difficult was that to adjust? Was that something that kind of took a lot of takes, or because for the record, I think it sounded really good. I really enjoyed it. It was very different from what we'd had before, but I think you absolutely pulled it off. But yeah, in terms of what you used to doing, was that a challenge?
Thank you. Happy to hear that you like the vocals because for me it's always a problem because I'm a guitarist and I've been playing guitar much more, much longer, and much better than what I've been
Sure,
doing
sure.
vocal. And actually, the most challenging vocal recording was for Ghost Story.
Yeah.
The vocal melody on
Mm.
the main verse there,
Mm.
which originally I wrote it as a growling part and then tried it out clean and it sounded better and then I had to do it clean.
Right.
That is hell.
Oh,
That is hell.
yeah.
Nothing compares to that. So by the time we were to record this song, and of course I've been taking vocal lessons for more than a year now
Mhm.
from Jonny, and then it wasn't that bad. But before we couldn't have included this on the previous album
Sure.
because my vocals weren't good enough for that. But when we actually recorded it, I think most of it was fine.
Yeah, yeah.
A bit challenging this kind of 6/8 parts part
Yeah, it is very
sing.
intricate. Is it more challenging? So like when you're playing this live, having to play and sing at the same time, is that more challenging?
Not that much. The problem is that it's not very well fitting to my range.
Right.
But
Sure.
if we were to rewrite it to fit my range, everyone else, well, except for Daniel, would have to do a lot of changes.
Right.
So it's
Gotcha.
easy for
Yeah.
me to be just figure out how to sing it. I
Yeah.
might cheat a bit and do like a half growl on some parts doing it live.
Yeah. Yeah.
But on this song, I think what was fun to do is the kind of more folk parts,
Yeah.
and which I really just did as a choir. It's not no main vocal line. It's just I think it's 4 or 8 takes. We just sing the same to get this kind of gang vocals, but there's no main vocal there,
Yeah. Sure.
and that was really fun. But that's I think gives it very this folk metal vibe, and of course it's kind of folk metal based or folk
Yeah. Yeah.
melodies
Yeah.
in the middle, and I also think that Anna synthesizers work very well to kind of give this kind of medieval instrument, but not quite. And I
Yeah.
prefer that often to have this kind of not bringing okay for this song we need this hired musician that can play that special fiddle or flute or whatever.
Yeah.
Of course, if you have someone in the band that can play those instruments, then I would use that. But for us, and it's kind of also in the Scandinavian
Yeah.
folk metal tradition, like Enslaved and in Harry that just play folk melodies on
Yeah.
guitars or synthesizers. So I think we are very much into that.
Yeah, definitely. I was going to say, yeah, like kind of the kind of synth tones were particularly ear catching in this one. Again, just because it was so distinct from anything else we heard on the album, and yeah, I really like the huge range of kind of different tones you had with that as well.
Yeah. And it's really kind of, it just made me think the whole synthesizer versus real instruments. I think especially with folk instruments, and it just reminded me of a channel we recently discovered on YouTube that is also really great and super super informative. It's by ethnomusicologist. I think his name is Faraji.
Okay.
And he speaks a lot about folk music in different parts of the world, and especially the problems of misrepresenting other people's musical cultures.
Sure.
So, for example, musical Orientalism, and which is a huge topic.
Yeah.
And he speaks a lot about the importance of articulation in many kind of folk traditions. And there, I really think that I would be meeting my limits, because there are so many folk instruments, such as, for example, let's say harp or flutes, that I wouldn't be quite sure how to articulate
Sure.
when playing on a synthesizer. And even when having them as a synthesizer tone, it can be difficult to actually play them in the way they are supposed to be played. So there I think I would say I'm rather conservative, because I really much prefer experimenting with the really kind of synthesizer tones. That are really kind of just synthesizer in a way.
Yeah, no, exactly what you mean, yeah.
A better explanation. But really, I really agree with your idea of having the folk-ish but not quite folk instrument. It gives an association, but it's not quite there, because there are really, I wouldn't quite know how to play and wouldn't want to pretend to.
Yeah, for sure, and I think it does, like, it is obviously kind of representing a particular instrument, but it also is its own thing as well, which I think is kind of the way I'd kind of look at it there, and yeah, I think that's absolutely fine, and I think certainly for what you were going for, that fits in really well. Yeah, but I think that's pretty much all I have to say on that one. It was a really good one. I enjoyed it a lot. I think because we've had like a bunch of really kind of deep, intricate ones. This one is a lot more kind of. It is a lot less heavy and complex lyrically, which I don't think is a bad thing by any stretch. But it just means got kind of less to dive into there. But yeah, just from
it's a chance to take a breath.
It is, and I think it's very much needed. So I'm looking forward to seeing listening to the last track. So unless you had any other comments on that one, Kirsty?
I could. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go on. Yeah, you can
go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, because it's interesting you should mention that lyrically it's kind of really taking a breath, because there is some political context to those lyrics too. Because,
sure.
And what's it? Well, apart from this kind of the hope and the embracing, in that case, dragons as the unknown and stuff like that. In the original way the lyrics were written, I read through them and suddenly discovered, wait a minute, there is this kind of unfortunate, how should I say, description color-wise of different dragons, where we ended up having a white dragon as the good one and the black dragon as the bad one.
Right.
No, this is structural racism. Wait a minute. Of any of that. So we just decided basically to change the colors of the dragons to not kind of go into that Tolkien direction.
Yeah. It does slip so easily into that kind of
and
fantasy,
of course,
for sure,
everyone is socialized into this shit, so it's
it's
the conscious everyday work of kind of working ourselves out.
Yeah.
So
I mean, we're talking like about kind of like folklore traditions and stuff like that. There is a lot of sketchy stuff, especially when it comes to race. Certainly in English folk, I imagine probably a lot of European folk as well.
Yeah, definitely.
But there's also this song is the first ever we do, because we have done this switching between a keyboard solo and a guitar solo.
Mm.
But this is the first time we switch between drum solo and keyboard solo.
Okay.
Here is again one of the. So there are 3 tracks on the album that have a drum solo. It's Burn the Boats.
Yep.
And it's this one where Anna has the first solo, then Daniel does his part, and Anna plays another solo, then Daniel plays a solo, and then Anna finishes it.
Yeah.
And then there's also a drum solo on the next track.
Fab.
On Humankinds Fall, that kind of really signifies this whole civilization breaking apart. And oh yeah, I should probably say something about the lyrics of the next track as well.
Yeah.
Since you haven't
Go.
had the
Go.
chance
Yeah.
to read it.
Yeah.
So
Go for it.
Humankinds Fall, and that's again kind of this way we often write songs, which lyric-wise is this kind of theme, and then there is a change, and there is something else. So, for example, Dragon of Ice has the first part, which is the kind of fairy tale in the woods, and there is a dragon there, but he's really nice, and better to meet the dragon in the woods than a man, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then you have the dragon attack later on, which is the second part after my solo, and then the third part, which is the battle between the dragons and the end. There are 2 twists in the story. And same with Humankinds Fall, which is kind of basically describing the world as what we're going to if we don't have a revolution.
Okay.
So tying up kind of back to the first song. And then you have kind of basically the collapse of civilization and of Earth.
Yeah.
Which ends with the drum solo and the refugees traveling into space to kind of try to escape, but then discovering that there's no real kind of place for them to go. Because which is kind of very opposite of Cosmonautics that was on the last album.
Yeah.
Basically this kind of Humankind's positive expansion into the universe to solve the limits of how you could expand on Earth.
Yeah.
And kind of preserving Earth as a livable place. Here it is the opposite, trying to escape Earth as it's no longer livable and realizing that there's no one else to go, and then having to come back and try to figure stuff out.
Yeah.
Which is the last part.
That's
And so kind of Daniel's solo signifies the end of Earth as we know it, and then Anna's solo is then signifying the new start. So the solos play a part in the story. There's not just, here it will be cool to do a solo.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna say like because I am definitely one of those people that is a little bit kind of like, oh, does everything need a solo? But literally every solo that has been in these tracks very much fits there. It very much does further the narrative. They are very well integrated, and they also are like as well as also being like technically proficient and interesting to listen to. But yeah, no, it's all just so tightly tightly bound together. I think the kind of arranging and the mixing definitely kind of has a part to play in that. But yeah, the core compositions are just immaculate. A really good job on them. And this lyrical conceit sounds absolutely fascinating. I'm really excited to hear this next track. So I think, unless we've got any other disclaimers before we start, we'll go into the last track. You said it is the longest one as well.
One thing to think about is the German prog band Alloy.
Oh yeah,
that has been an inspiration for this track.
Okay, cool. Fab. Okay, we'll get back to that after the track. So this is Humankinds Fall. This is the last track of the album. If you're still in the stream, thank you so much for hanging out this whole time. I'll put the pre-order link in the chat as well. So if you do like what you've heard and would like to support and would like to support the band, you can pre-order digitally. I think you can pre-order the CD on there as well.
Yes.
So yeah, if you whichever method you prefer, you can do that there. And also, the first 3 tracks are also listenable on there as well. And the rest of the album will be out on Friday, 14th. I forgot what day of the week it was. Yep. Cool. Okay.
It's Wednesday.
Yeah, today is Wednesday. It's been a busy week. Right, so this is Humankinds Fall. And there we are. That was Humankinds Fall. Yeah, I feel like I could probably speak for you as well, Kirsty, and say that is a perfect end to the album. That is,
Absolutely.
yeah, the album does take you on a journey,
Absolutely.
and this does feel like the natural kind of culmination of that, both narratively and stylistically. You get. It seems to encompass a lot of the kind of different styles and approach to composition we've heard so far on the album. There's so many just different like riffs and like songwriting styles just in this one track. The beginning, there were some riffs that were almost there was some really kind of like groovy, kind of like groove and death metal kind of riffs. There's folk, there's some black and death metal. There were some bits that even felt a little kind of hardcore to me, which I was really into as well. But in a wider context of the overall genre. The progression of that was arranged amazingly. The synth tones had a real spacey context and vibe to them. I don't know if that's just because you told me it was like space was a theme, but certainly going in with that, I was like, no, this absolutely fits. I think it was around 5 minutes in I guess what I want to call a breakdown, and I know that term kind of is a little bit loaded when it comes to metal, but where you kind of get those really short, stabby riffs around there, kind of like transitioning the first half to the second part of the song. I love that a lot. That was amazing. This feels like it's. All of this wouldn't be out of place in a rock opera, frankly, and I'm really into it. You are very good musical storytellers, and this is
it felt very much like it had a story to it.
Yes,
like you could just put the story on top, and then you've got your rock opera right there. Like, and this was such a fantastic, like momentous, climactic moment. It works so well.
Yeah,
Thank you.
agreed. Oh, we've just had a first-time chat from Ferry, but Hecky, I missed this. Yeah. You have just arrived after the last song. This will be archived on our YouTube channel, possibly not till after the album's officially released. But that's out that will be out on Friday anyway, so it's only like a couple of days. But thanks for coming anyway. To be fair, the VOD also stays up on Twitch for a few days, so I can't actually stop you rewinding it and back anyway. So yeah, you can do that. Cool. Yeah, we've not let you talk about your own song yet.
Yeah, I think it does have this kind of rock opera feel. I think like all the compositions have this kind of idea that it's a story, and it's kind of a story told through music. But of course, this track also has this kind of first of all, it has a lot of this 80s vibe, especially in the synthesizers.
Yes, it does, definitely.
This prog rock vibe, which is kind of the Alloy inspiration. But also Anna solo here, I think, really has this kind of fantasy movie opening or end credits theme feeling.
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that you have the same on the last song of the last album.
Yeah.
On Tale of the Copper Guard also has this. There it's the end solo that has this really kind of, this is a cinematic track feel.
Yeah, cinematic. Yeah. That's definitely the word. Yeah.
And I think because of course this whole it is a story. It's a kind of very clear cut story in this verse. This happens in this verse, that happens, and you can really follow the lyrics through the music, and we use the different kind of themes for that. But on the other hand, actually, Secrets of the Forge and this song started as one song.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So we were kind of going in different directions, but like the Saracen-inspired riff on the verse of the first song was initially part of this song, and the first verse I kind of thought maybe it should have been in the other song, and kind of we were trying to both do this kind of medieval thing and this space thing. I couldn't quite decide which way are we going to go, so okay, let's just do two songs. That was the solution.
Yeah.
But Especially the part, kind of that epic slow synthesizer verse, which is the part where I play the solo over, was in the beginning on Secrets of the Forge, and then we felt it doesn't quite fit because it's in a way it's too close to that Saracen inspired part that stayed on Secrets of the Forge, and at the same time we were like, no, but this part we can't let it go. It has to be somewhere.
Oh.
So I'm really happy that we managed to kind of make a song where it really fits and also really kind of comes to its a song that lets that verse shine, because I think it's a very nice melody.
It is. It is a gorgeous melody. The melody of the piano and the guitar riffs. Again, I mean, as has been throughout the album, but I think particularly is showcased amazingly here. And I think kind of going back to one of the things you were saying earlier about kind of like adjusting to playing in a band and kind of sort of letting go of that need to kind of play the accompanying parts and playing with both hands. There were definitely a lot of moments in that song where it did sound like you were doing kind of like maybe shorter, kind of like less involved segments, and I think that was really to the song's benefit. And then you also had moments to shine where the focus was entirely on you as well, and all of those moments were just incredibly well done.
Thank you.
Enjoyed that a lot, and I do think, yeah, as kind of said with Secrets of the Forge, that being very like a very clear mission statement for the album. This one I think is a very nice kind of summary and kind of. I want to say like a little bit what next in terms of just like in terms of these are the kind of themes and issues raised, and this is kind of the foregone conclusion of that. And yeah, I think just like the way you've ordered the tracks, yeah, it is just a beautiful story. Like I wouldn't go far as to say that it's like a concept album or anything. I don't get the feeling that was what you were going for necessarily, but it is a very kind of coherent through line thematically that makes it kind of really satisfying when you've like finished. It's one of the, because I very much used to be a full album listener. More recently, I'm really bad at that and often just listen to odd songs. I feel like this is an album that all the songs do work on their own, but listening to it as a whole really gives you an experience you wouldn't get just hearing the tracks individually.
And I think in that way it's different from our previous album, and it's closer to the EP.
Yeah.
Kind of had this, there are 2 songs, and there's in the middle you have this kind of concept with 3 songs that tell the story. And here again, we didn't aim to make a concept album, but just by us being able to have a shorter title, we have a more coherent thought this time. It's not just the songs we have written over a long period of time.
Sure.
Our songs we started writing after the previous album was released.
Yeah.
And we finished writing and then spent a year recording. So it's quite a short amount of time.
Yeah, it is. And this, like, all 6 tracks came from that kind of like turnover time.
Yes.
That is incredible. That I would have believed you if you said you've been working on that for like a decade. Like with just how perfectly that's together. Yeah, you should be very proud of that. That is a really phenomenal album. I'm going to run out of spots on my best of 2024 list already, and we're not even in July. Like there's already at least 2 or 3 songs that I'd be like, oh, I think that'd be a good fit for there. Fab. Yeah, well, thank you very much for coming on and showcasing that and having a chat with us about it. I thoroughly enjoyed that. If you enjoyed the album, I'll put your Dreamslain socials in the chat, as well as where you can pre-order the album. I put an extra S in that for some reason. Yep, so they're on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. Those are the 3 that I could find. You may be on more things as well, I'm sure. And also the Bandcamp where you can pre-order the album. Yeah, I've enjoyed that a lot. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Are there any kind of other thoughts that we haven't, or like threads that we wanted to bring up before we wrap this up?
Yeah, I think it was very great to be on this show. It was great to kind of come back and talk once more with Kirsty about this, and kind of we've known each other for some time now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been years.
So
It doesn't feel like it, but it has been.
It
It's
has.
been
Yeah.
really, really, really good.
And it's like so exciting that you're gonna actually get to meet in person and perform.
I know, I
Together. That's
can't
gonna be
wait.
amazing. I'm so excited for you. Uh,
But what we're also aiming now to do in autumn, I think we can tell a bit about that.
yeah.
So we are trying to go and play in UK
Okay.
in autumn. So this is kind of how many shows and where we don't know yet. We're trying to kind of find what dates would be possible,
Sure.
and also kind of like we know Gerst, so kind of obviously it would be one of the shows would be with Cruel Mother in London.
Yeah.
But beyond that, kind of people that know promoters, or if you are promoters, please reach out. We
Yeah,
are
absolutely.
coming. So that means you don't need to pay us to come from Norway. We need just kind of the stay for that night.
Yeah,
and,
just do a
us
few
to
more
get
while you're
there.
here. Yeah, absolutely. I
So
will
it's
definitely,
kind of-
I will
it's-
definitely know people who know promoters.
Yeah.
So I will definitely ask around about that. I'm definitely all of my mates who missed out on this because Wednesday's their D&D day. I feel like they would have been really into this, so I'm definitely going to pester them to give you a listen. And also they will likely know some people who put on shows of this kind of that you'd be a great fit for. Brill, yeah, okay. I haven't planned like a closing or anything, so we're just going to kind of awkwardly finish now. But thank you so much. It was lovely. It was lovely to meet you both. Lovely to see you again, Kirsty. Best of luck with the shows. In terms of what we've got here, so we'll be streaming. So we had our last live show 2 days ago. We're going to be streaming that this coming Monday, and that'll be around 7:30. PM, the same time this one was, and then the week after that we've got Broadcast Avalanche as well. And if you want tickets for upcoming shows, we do have tickets for both. Well, 2 out of 3 of our July shows. Why have I booked so many? Available, available via Outsavvy now. They are free to book. The previews with Eddie French and Katie Mitchell on the first have been selling very quickly. So if you do want to
Very
come, I do
quickly.
advise getting them early. And we've also got our show on the 8th with headliner Cheeky Keto as well. So that's where you can book them. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much.